We're on part two now of the Breakfast Lounge here as it's crunch time. The countdown is on. Yeah, boy. Things are heating up. And of course, like I mentioned with my previous guest, Mr. Mingo, who was here with me this morning, that we're exactly 8 days till election.
That's correct.
Joining me here in the second part of the Breakfast Lounge, the countdown as we refer to it, is the deputy leader and the number 2 candidate of the Now Party, Nation Opportunity Wealth, Mr. Claudius A. Buncamper. I always meant to ask you what that A stood for.
Anthony.
Oh man, that's nice. All right, Anthony. All right, Mr. Buncamper. Good morning, and once again, welcome to the Breakfast Lounge. This is nothing new to you.
No,
nothing.
Not the Breakfast Lounge.
Not the Breakfast Lounge, but I mean, this the campaigning, and
No.
You've been doing this for like ever.
My wife used to be a politician
Right.
for 15, 20 years, so I was always by her side in the campaign trail. But when you are doing it, it's easy to tell people what to do when you don't have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you become the candidate, it's a little different. Eh?
Right.
You always tell them, we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do this, and then suddenly now you can't be telling them, you got to be doing it because you're the candidate.
Right.
It's a little different, I must honestly say. Especially, when you got to do the canvassing, the house to house, it's a different approach. For me, it's a little different than when my wife was a candidate. The difference is I have had a very long career in the civil servantry and in a civic organization alliance where you are on the road all the time. You meet people all the time. So the canvassing is a little different. When I go to canvass, I go to homes. I've been invited to many homes since the campaign started, and I've spoken to many families. And the questions are, it's not really about what you can do. It's what is the plan of the party? How do we get the country from point A to point B? Because at the end of the day, you can write a lot of policies to change this and change that, but if you don't have the money to change it, or you don't have the money to pay for it, look, a great example, we're going to change minimum wage, we've signed in function books, but you ain't paying the people, you ain't got the money to pay the minimum wage. How do you do it? The country isn't ready. The businesses can't afford it. So it is easy talk to just sign documents that have no added value. Now, this is where the Now differs from all parties, I will say. We have a financial plan, a tax reform plan, a plan to make money. Because at the end of the day, if you don't make the money, you can't spend the money. We can't keep taking loans by the Dutch government to fix roads and pay government this and pay. No, we have to earn that money to pay that. If we want to talk about ever thinking even on independence, we got to become financially independent
So
first.
how do we generate those funds?
By taxations, different forms of taxations. One of them we said from
Aren't we
day
being
one.
taxed enough?
Yeah. So, no, but we want to change it.
Okay.
We want to spread that burden of love. We want all those that are making money but they ain't paying a cent in this country to pay their fair share. Look, you have Airbnb, a simple something. Take the 5%. Why you need to know where it comes from? Take the 5% because it's hundreds, if not thousands of rooms are being rented as Airbnbs in Sint Maarten. Then you have all these villas that are owned by corporations. They are renting out these places. The money never touches Sint Maarten. No, the house can't pick up and run. Tax it. Aircrafts flying over Sint Maarten. There is a law that says you make it payable, and it goes into the aviational system. You don't have to work for it. It comes to you. Once it's in the flight plan and it flies over your country, you are paid for it. It isn't 100 million, but it might be 2-3 million. It is 2-3 million more that you have. We are telling them, listen, turnover tax is the most aggressive tax we have. Why? Because that tax is tax upon tax upon tax. As long as it's being sold, you're paying for it. It is a turnover. A turnover means you sold something. So if the distributor sells it, you pay 5%. The retailer sells it, you pay 5%. Mom and pop sell it, you pay 5%. That's 15% if I don't even do increments on it. It's 15% you paid.
Remember the story about the turnover tax when it was introduced?
Yes. It was just going to be there. Temporary for a year, 2 years.
And it started at what percent?
1%.
1%.
And we're now at 5%.
5%.
Now, look, there are a few things. Because you can say, and this is where sales tax, for example, or a VAT, for example, can make a difference if you want to still go down that road. We are saying, let's start with an import duty of 8%. The French side agrees with us. So if we can do that, at least we are going to set a base on our income. We import what? 3 billion, they say? That's what they're saying. 3 billion is coming through this country. Now, do the math. I mean, I think with 8%, we will do all right because turnover tax is different to import duties.
I think our was at 7.
Yeah, well, with the French side, 8%,
was at 7%.
we gone clear. We don't have accents, for example, in Aruba, the accents are different. Because when you bring in a car, it's 40%. So,
but
by
the
us,
supermarkets, they're charging you 7%.
because that's food products.
Food products,
and I'm saying we're going to just put it across the board, 8% at the harbor and the airport to keep it regulated with the French side. Because the French side will do the same. Which means it doesn't make a difference on which side you bring it in, you're paying it anyway. So in that sense, it's fair. Now, then you have your wage taxes. You have to look at, we are right now in a very progressive system. You know, you have all these scales. But what it basically means is the more you study, the more you earn, the more I'm going to tax you. So you are not giving me an incentive to do business and work hard and become somebody because you're going to tax me to death, up to 50% maybe. That makes no sense. You know, and these are the things we have to look at. Then you have seniors. They are being brutally taxed over minimum wage. While we know in Sint Maarten, by the Statistics Bureau that did all the reviewing, that 3,552 guilders is a livable wage for a household. So why are you taxing people right above minimum wage? Why are you taxing people at 2,000 guilders, 2,500 guilders, 3,000 guilders, 3,500? They shouldn't be taxed. Above 3,552, you are now talking about, okay, you can afford it. But again...
But that was never regulated though.
Which one?
I mean, when you reach a threshold of, let's say, like you were mentioning, 2,000, 3,000 guilders, that you should not be taxed.
No, at this point in time, the law says minimum wage or less is not taxed.
It's not taxed.
But the problem with minimum wage, the problem with AOV and all those things is they are not even 50% of the livable wage that the country has determined it is. So why do you pound your chest and say, I'm doing great for this country when the country is in shambles? People go hungry every day. Last night we were on a show on the French side and people said, I can't buy a bread, I can't afford a bread, I don't have money. It tells you the problem in your country. We just went through Christmas and we did a basket drive with the organization. I belong to the civic organization and Leo's.
Right.
And I just brought over about 20 baskets. And I'll tell you something. I felt ashamed.
Why is that?
To say that we pound on our chest how good we're doing when people have nothing to eat in homes. People don't have beds to sleep on. But we pound our chest that we are not doing good. We have to accept that we have a serious, what the Dutch would say, inhaalslag. We got to fix some of these things. Look, we always talk about the Sustainable Development Goals. Goal number 1 is eradicate poverty. Goal number 2, eradicate hunger. We are not doing none of the two. We are not doing that.
But why do you keep hearing then every time?
Because it sounds good. Oh, we are busy with this and we're going to the United Nations to talk about this. Yeah, please. Like how Christopher said, the Prime Minister is not a woman of state. The Prime Minister is the woman that has us in this state. There's a big difference there. And last night, the big poster where the president of the collectivity came down. Because it's a shame.
There was a poster.
There was a big poster the good lady put up. Which she down by the border side. So when you're driving in and out, a big poster with she standing beside the president of the collectivity. That's geopolitics. Listen, if you want an endorsement, ask him for an endorsement. Don't go and make a poster and put it up. Because how does he explain his government what's going on? How does he tell the new government that's coming in January 11, oh, I'm going to walk with you, don't worry about that poster. It doesn't work so.
So basically what you're saying is that this poster was actually erected without his knowledge?
I want to say so. Otherwise it wouldn't have come down. Okay. Otherwise it wouldn't have come down. It came down last night. But it is to show you that's desperation. That is trying to portray something you are not. That's how simple it is. And people say, oh, I just slam in hand and them and they gonna come at me. Hey, come. I'm an open book. I have nothing to hide. I'm not like some of them that go on the radio station, talk things about Alegria and the SG, and then say that I call them at night. They're blatant liars. I never listen. Politics is politics. I agree.
This whole Alegria story, though, it is, it doesn't seem to go away because...
It will not go away because he is lying. He is lying. The minister is lying his backside off. Listen, Alegria...
I saw Mr. Brown's sister, actually.
She made a video, a 15-minute video, and I listened to it.
Mm-hmm. And I guess it was over like 5,000 people.
What she did, that's when he run when Billy D yesterday morning to give his version of how he don't talk about it. Listen, please. Bottom line is this. What was Alegria about? Because people believe that, the land was denied. That is not true. The land, in principle, was granted by the former minister, then Minister Waver.
Okay.
He agreed with it.
What year was this?
This is back in 2019, after October 2019, because Rayon Peterson, who was then the acting head, was moved.
Okay.
He was moved by Waver because he gave a negative advice.
Okay.
MP Rayon Peterson gave a negative advice. He was moved. A principle, let me call it a principal agreement was reached with Alegria. The problem was that the environmental conditions set in the water parcel were very harsh.
Where are these investors from?
This is Morgan Hotel.
That's the Morgan Resort.
Yes, they wanted to build a breakwater for a dolphinarium and all those things. Mm-hmm. There was a negative advice given on that. And basically, the conditions that they had to meet environmentally were not easy. So that was the fight.
Okay.
They told the government, listen, you're being unreasonable with your conditions. Mm-hmm. Government said, all right, tell us which conditions you believe you should be able to meet that we don't damage our environment. We're going to have this discussion. The minister said, this is the first time ever we're doing that. Utter nonsense. Emilia was discussed through and through with Rainforest before they gave it to them. What all going to happen and how it's going to happen. They don't even pay the Erfpacht. But the minister ain't talking about that. They pick back up the land and they have to give for agriculture that the minister said he was going to do.
This is at Emilia also.
Exactly. Go into Great Bay Harbor and look how much land is still in dispute in water rights. Because of Erfpacht canon. One paying 10, one paying 4, this one, that. So the minister shouldn't come out and try, listen, that he...
Sounds like a total mess.
It's personal. He doesn't like Brown. He don't trust Brown. He got to get rid of Brown. Brown is there for 20 plus years as an excellent civil servant. Sure, people ain't going to like you when you are able to say no. When you're saying, I ain't part of this charade. So naturally, but he gone. The minister going to go now. Come January 11th, he out of function as a minister. There'll be a new minister. Then what? You have the ministry in shambles. The ministry ain't going no place. And he's so proud that he's bringing people from abroad to fill the ministry seats. So you're going to tell me we have no professionals, no engineers in Sint Maarten walking around, but your motto was, you are qualified? Now is, I believe in you too? I mean, you serious? You cannot be serious. But this is the pathetic lying, because he's a pathetic liar. This guy is dangerous because he has the gall to put the NRPB accomplishments on his post as if he did it.
Stop.
I'm dead serious with you. When you have people that can go that direction and then come up and talk about torture and the bunk syndrome, let me explain something about the bunk syndrome. When you treat your employees good, they will always remember you. They will always respect you, no matter where you are or who you are. That's the big difference. You want to rule by fear, then you will be dealt with by fear. Because when people fear you, when they get the chance to nail you, they're going to nail you. So we're going to see what's going to happen January 11th. We know what he did to the police. He rushed, take up the money from Flo, And he paid out the police. And to their police are being told, but listen, you were paid too much, you got to pay back the money. You ain't getting the money, you got to pay back money.
Wait a minute. Back it up here a minute.
Back it up, eh?
Let's make it make sense here right now. So the money is actually, you're saying that the police officers got
in 2019, some of them got too much, they have to pay back. The minister said that, not me. There were decrees signed.
Okay.
There are 700 workers in total with everybody.
Which one? The Minister of Finance?
The Minister of Justice, when they made the decrees, it turned out and the unions they were overpaid and they're going to have to pay back the money.
Wow.
They got to pay back the money.
What is being overpaid though?
I don't know.
When you're owed so much years.
I don't know because there
so much money back pay, basically.
there were court cases where the minister lost and the minister has to pay them. And every day the clock is ticking on that. They have to pay a few hundred guilders, I think, per employee every day that were in the court case. So they put an X amount of money on the budget to start paying. 750,000 guilders to be very specific out of the 44 million that has to be paid to the various groups, because you have the police, you have the immigration, you have land recherche, you have border control, MOT, the prison, different ones. Some of them are retroactive to 2010, some are retroactive to 2021, because I think Border Patrol and, excluding Border Patrol, the MOT and prison and all of them, they were brought up to par, according to the minister, with the function books of 2021. If they were paid, that's a different story. I don't know, and I'm not going to say yes or no because I'm not sure.
Okay.
But I'll say this much. There is no money to pay them. There is no money in the budget to pay them. There was 2.5 million guilders that was reserved on the budget to pay, but they never used it to pay. And
so where is the money then? I
don't know. I think it was spent for something else. Because it's not there right now. And the minister herself said that they needed the budget amendment to pay the people. And she hopes that the budget amendment passed. But the budget amendment was 750,000 guilders. That's not even 1/44th. That's maybe a 50th out of everything. So I don't see that happening. With the court case, people got to be paid. People on pension got to be paid. People that have less than 10,000 will get their money, but a lot of people ain't going to get their money.
Do you think the justice workers are really aware of the fact that, okay, that the minister says the function book was approved, signed off on it, but next question is, where is the money?
There is no money right now. There is no money, and there's no budget.
Should you be concerned about that?
You should be very concerned, because when they had the big celebratory, historic signing, the seats were empty. Why? Because nobody believes in it anymore. It's a fairy tale story. So all you're getting now is like, you know, when you have fashion shows, you throw little clips, oh, there's the queen in it. That's what's going on. There is no production because there is no money. So budget 24 doesn't exist, which means you ain't got no money to pay in 2024. You're going to have to use budget 2023 that was approved to continue working with until you have 2024.
What about if they find money just a few days before elections to disburse?
They will try anything. But I think after the first set of disbursements and people got to pay back now, nobody trusts in this right now. And I think everybody's going to see through the ploy of, oh, it's a political stunt. Like some of the bloggers have said, it's a hoax. I have seen hoaxes on Facebook now as if it's out of style lately, you know? And Grace, this is the thing with elections. Instead of them out there selling a manifesto, selling their plan, they're out there selling accomplishments that are not theirs. They're talking about things that they did not do. Oh, I built 64 homes. You did not build 64 homes, repair 64 homes in Belvedere. The trust fund did it. And when the trust fund realized that it was becoming a political stunt, Chris Johnson, as the representative of the Dutch, went down there and gave her the keys himself because he got tired of it. It became, for one key, 50 people there shaking hands. It's a joke. It was a joke, a complete joke. So I'm saying the trust fund, while I beat up on them because I think we are way overdue with repairing the stuff on this island, they say, oh, 450 million has been allocated. Correct, 250 million was spent over the first 5 years, and we got 200 something million allocated, not spent, allocated. And they got to go through all the tenders because they're doing as if Vromi is building the homes of Vromi. No, that is not true. NRPB got their own engineers that are running their own tenders, and Vromi can work along with them. But it's not Vromi's project and it's not Vromi's accomplishments. It belongs to the NRPB. Claret Connor and his team, they're the ones that if praise was to be given for those works at the schools, at the homes. I mean, the Met Office didn't even build up to today.
What?
The library didn't build up to today.
Right. The Prime Minister said that they were going to tear it down in January.
Oh,
She said that
please.
yesterday.
Please. They have said that for the past 4 years, they are saying things. And today, they come with all kind of complaints. And we're doing this in January, and we're doing that in February. You ain't doing nothing, you're going to be there.
MV, let me ask you this question. The land distribution policy in Vromi, it has been like that for how many years that a minister can actually be, he cannot be accused of basically giving land to whoever it is he so desires.
No, he
can't. Is that true? He can't do that.
No.
But there's no law to stop him from doing that.
No, before 10-10-10, it was the Executive Council.
Right.
After 10-10-10, it became the minister. So in the law, it says that it is the prerogative of the minister to grant land to whomever he believes deserves it.
Right.
But then there comes a little catch. It's called good governance. It's called transparency. It's called accountability. Mm-hmm. And it is a judgment in the Vineyard Heights case that brought to light that what's going on is not allowed. The minister, to get away from the ombudsman investigation in Vineyard Heights, took it to courts and thought, okay, he gonna fix this. He gonna make sure he shut up the ombudsman because she gave him a damning report when it came to the garbage collection. So he gonna shut her up. He go into courts, she may not investigate. That's the law. So what happened then? As the judge went through it, the judge says, listen, while the minister has all kind of rights, there is a high court's verdict that good governance must be adhered to, and that supersedes the right of a minister to give. So the minister was already told in 2021, get the land policy in order, bring it for approval. He got a motion that was brought up by PFP that William voted for. 10 for, 2 against. He was nearly crippled. He write up a 2-page, 3-page little something about land, and he bring it in. It was shot down. It didn't go no place. So what the judge did this time around, the judge said, well, seeing that you all are not interested in making this policy, let me change it for you now. Based on this report, you cannot give out the land if there's no formal policy. And if the notaries sign off, we're going to come at them too. So what did the 3 notaries in Sint Maarten do? They came together and said, we out of this nonsense, we ain't going to lose our license because you run an illegal racket in your ministry. Okay. That's the bottom line. So the minister has not been able to give one piece of land since September.
Wow.
That's why the ministry quiet now by domain, because normally there's a buzzing ministry for election time. Mm-hmm. Domain and licensing a TIAT for bus and taxi. Those will be the buzzing ones because government always giving out those things during elections.
Like that, right.
Well, in Vromi, it's quiet.
So why is it now? Okay, and I'm glad that you said that because it's quiet. So no one can actually get any permits.
Nobody is going to get a piece of land until the policy has been made, approved, and the notaries approve that the detem arrest, and that says the detem arrest, that verdict says, everybody must get a chance, which means you have to set a criteria. Let's say you set a criteria, you cannot have a piece of land if you already had one.
So what happened to all the land that was issued already then? You can't touch that.
No, that's not true.
Oh,
you see, and that's why I told the minister when this verdict came out, appeal it, because there is no time stamp on the verdict. I mean, the verdict will go back 20 years if they so desire. If a foundation tomorrow is started, protect our domain lands, and they take these things to courts, the chance that the judge reverses the deed is big. because there is no time stamp on this. But you know, a lot of people here believe, everybody believes they know the law. I'm not a professor, I know the law, but I do understand the law.
In this department, so you would know.
But this is not my specialty because I don't deal with land, I don't deal with permits.
Right.
I deal with infrastructure.
Okay.
So when it comes to these things, I too go and look for advice by people that understand the law or know the law. I talk to a lot of lawyers about certain things, and you'd be amazed how many lawyers know certain things but stay quiet. They're just waiting for the payday when they start doing it, so people come to them to be defended. But it's unfortunate because the government should have been advised to appeal the case to ensure that, yes, we agree with the policy, but we're going to start it from the day of the verdict. You can't go backwards. Because if you do that, it means anything done back in 2010 can be reviewed, or 2011 can be reviewed, or 2012, irregardless to which minister was there, because that's not relevant.
The judge can't force the hand of the minister to reinstate Mr. Brown, though.
He told them that Mr. Brown has to go back to work, right?
Right. But from what I saw in the video, says that he hasn't been back to work for
He hasn't been back
years,
for
or
two and a half years nearly, and not being paid because the government owes him that money. And Mr. Brown is a nice fella. He's a nice guy because he fights it in courts. If it was me personally, I'd have put a lien on the bank. I'd have put a lien on their accounts. I have a verdict in my hand. I'd have gone to the judge and asked permission to put a lien. And we'd see who wasn't paying who then. You see, this ignorance gotta stop. He says the courts have spoken. Yes, they have. And Mr. Brown has to go back to work. They said that the probability that you told him do it is very big. So we're going to go with that probability. That's what the judges said in appeal. That's what they said. Because remember, in first instance, it was the same judge that told Alegria, you ain't getting it, was the one that said, yeah, Brown wrong. He couldn't say Brown was right, or else he'd have screwed his verdict with appeal, with Alegria. That's why he sacked Brown. He sacked Brown to protect himself as judge for the decision he made in Alegria. That's my personal opinion. Because there were no grounds to sack Brown. Brown went to appeal, and he won. Now suddenly, I don't trust Brown, and Brown did this, so I will fire him now for, what? He behaved bad. Right? There's a name for him. He's not a good civil servant. Whatever. BS. You lost, move on. Put the man back. Your ministry is in shambles. And if Brown comes back in, people will work with Brown. They trust Brown. They know his ability. I don't always agree with Lewis, you know. Me and Lewis have had our ding-dongs. Me and Christopher, we had our fights when he was minister. But for me, I can tell you what I feel. I can tell you what I think, and I'm moving on. Look, there were advices I wrote. Brown would call me and say, Tone, this can't fly, you know. I don't agree with this. How you seen this? There are two things I can do. Either he gonna convince me and I'll adjust my advice. I'm gonna tell him, well, listen, this is my advice.
Right.
You put your memo on it and you send it to the minister. Grace, the reason I'm telling you this is to show you how our system works. It's a closed system. It's not an open-ended. It's not an open-ended system.
Very vindictive and very personal.
Very vindictive. He said it also by Billy D yesterday that it is the minister's decision what happens. Because Brown only gives an advice. So how come the courts then suddenly said that the advice I gave is I gave the contract, and the minister had nothing to say, and the governor had nothing to say, and the council of ministers had nothing to say. So then I know where my vendetta was. That's why I smile. That's why I said on your show, I know I walk in. And then I get back the same verdict, as if it fell out of the sky. Like nobody knew what was going on. My lawyer up to today can't catch herself. Don't understand what happened. Because that was not a verdict. That was a copy and paste and tell me here it is. But terzijde, what I'm trying to show is if a judgment says, but you do it, or you had the power to do it, then how come Brownie had the power to do it? How come now suddenly you jump up and say, use the minister, you gotta do it? Because that's what the law says. He is right with that. The law says that. But he was mixing up a few things to make it all sound right. The head of domain has the authority to ask for a made brief to be made once the principal agreement, once the draft deed is prepared. Because a draft deed will not be signed by the minister. Remember this same minister that took Myers to court saying how he signed illegally a draft deed. So when the draft deed was made by Domain, Brown, as head of Domain at that point in time, had the right to apply for the maid brief. It was his obligation as head to do that. And remember, he had, in my opinion, what I understood, what I saw, he had a principal agreement on the land with Alegria approved by the then Minister Weaver. So they tried to throw Brown under the bus. And I think Christopher said it correctly yesterday. He said, well, he ain't gonna touch Weaver because Weaver signed off land for his brothers and his sisters and his baby mama and all that. Now, these are facts. You can go and see who signed the land. The minister signed them. That minister signed them. So let us not pretend. Louis Brown has made mistakes in his life. Everybody has. Everybody has made mistakes in life. But Louis Brown was an exemplary civil servant. 20-something years. Louis was there before me. Louis was in...
Well, you came and met him there.
I met Louis in Vroom. And it was William that decided Louis is qualified and he made him the head of Vroom.
Okay.
You understand? The Dutchman had to move out and Louis moved up. Right. So that's why I always tell you, I have a lot of respect for William.
Yeah.
William brought me into public works. While my wife was DP, William brought me to public works.
Ain't that something?
Exactly. So the respect I have for William is a whole different respect than for these youngsters. Because these guys ain't there to help the country. They're there to help themselves. They talk about, oh, country above self and not this boy and not that. Well, please. Your record speaks for itself. You've had, what, 2-3 investigations? Ombudsman write your backside up a few times already? But you're doing it all kosher? Please, it's not.
You get sworn in after these elections. Will you be able to take your seat?
Yes. Yes. Okay. Let me say resoundingly yes. Some people went out there and said, oh no, he's going to be suspended right away again. That's their opinion. The opinions I got, the legal opinions I got, no, I cannot be suspended again. My term came to an end when the new term is sworn in. I will be elected, I will take my seat, and if they try, I will take them to court because you can't punish me twice.
Okay.
I have a whole legal team ready to rock and roll if push comes to shove.
Right. Right.
I ain't going no place.
Okay.
So all those that believe I ain't gonna be there to ransack up, think again. The bunks is back.
Wow.
I am back. I am going to be elected. I don't think I'm going to be elected. I know I'm going to be elected. The following I have out there, Grace, is a following of trust. They appreciate.
Because of your openness.
Yes, because I'm direct.
Yeah.
I tell you what it is. I don't mince words. And sometimes...
Isn't that what people want, though? They want
yes, people are...
This is
people
what it is.
are tired. People are tired of being served a cup of soup. But when you check it, it's just dirty water. It ain't soup. It ain't real. You know, these pie in the skies. Because you notice that in the last 30 days of December, suddenly everything in Sint Maarten was being accomplished and was possible. But for the past 3 years and 11 months, it wasn't. Then it was COVID. Then it was the hurricane. Then it was no money. Please. How stupid you think people in Sint Maarten are? People are seeing through it. Justice workers don't want to see the minister. Vromi workers don't want to see the minister. I mean, I ain't even talking about general affairs. Because that's a complete mockery right now. Suddenly now, everything is possible. And they sit there with each other. I mean, the central bank is not helping this country. I mean, Villanova has a bank, but we can't get a bank. And the Minister of Finance sits on the board. He runs, let me rephrase, he don't sit on the board. He's the shareholder of the central bank. He and the Minister of Finance in Kyoto. You notice that Sylviana and Kyoto don't take no nonsense from Dornbush and them?
No.
This one here? Hook, line, sinker, he swallow everything. They told him, come, we're going to do Enya. Yeah. He signed. I mean, Van Hoffland walked down here, make the boys sign for Enya. 90 million we were going to get jammed if Kyoto didn't say no.
Yeah.
My grandchildren would have been paying for it.
Right now.
No, please. There is a restructuring going on.
Right.
Curacao told them, point blank, They gonna pay for it themselves. You ain't telling us what to do. Aruba told the CFT, told Van Huffelen, I don't care what you say. You go matching, you go your jolly old way. But we ain't worrying with you. Only Sint Maarten is the good fiddler. We will do what Massa say. You see, and that's our problem. Because this is where your constitution shows how weak you are. Because only we suspend members in parliament. Only we allow the charter to do what they want. They can't do these things in Aruba and Curacao.
How do we reverse that, though, MP?
Very simple. Take a
Strong
stand.
of offense?
Take a stand.
Take a stand.
Take a stand. And Holland don't want our worries. Listen, people will look at me and say, this man didn't just say that. Geert Wilders' government is a good thing for Sint Maarten. You know why? Because Geert said, Nederland eerst. He didn't say the kingdom first.
Trump.
He didn't say the kingdom first. He said Holland first. Holland is for Holland. So maybe Sint Maarten will be forced to say Sint Maarten is for Sint Maarteners. And the discussion is, who's the Sint Maartener? No, we know who the Sint Maarteners are. If you are here to belong, or if you were here to belong, or if you were here because you're born here, or you made this your home, you're a Sint Maartener. There's no definition about, look, I born here. My mother was from Aruba. But my mother spent...
Really?
My mother's a Harams from Aruba. My mother spent over 3/4 of her life in Sint Maarten. She was not a born Sint Maartener, but she was a Sint Maartener that belonged.
Aruba, man.
I born in the poor house.
Yeah.
I born in the poor group.
Yeah.
But again,
Right.
what I'm saying is this. It doesn't mean where you're born makes you a Sint Maartener. I can play the generational card. We have Buncampers that were registered in 1784. Slavery didn't pass then yet because he was a slave. My great-great-great-grandfather was a slave. Let me set up for the record. Not because you see me white, me ain't got black blood. I got a lot of it in me. The problem is, Buncamper started to marry into the white generation
Right, okay,
from
it
Front
was
Street.
right.
Back Street started marrying Front Street.
Okay.
Majority of the Buncampers left Sint Maarten in 1904, 1905 and migrated to New York. That's where most of the Buncampers went.
So
We
where-
also got some Buncampers in St. Kitts, you
So
know.
where are they originally from, then?
The Buncampers?
Irish?
I have no clue where the master was from because the slave wasn't from Ireland.
Okay.
I don't know where he came from, but Vincent Buncamper, the one that we were able to track back to 1784,
Wow.
was a slave.
Okay.
And his child,
slave.
a slave. His son, Richard Buncamper, is the one that owned Back Bay. From Point Blanche to Guana Bay was bought by Richard Buncamper and another Buncamper. Two Buncampers owned it. So the Buncamper clan, the Marion clan, with the Ratcliffes, the Flanders, the Illich, the Richardsons, the Gums, they're all there. The Van Heiningens, they are all part of the Buncamper clan, the original clan.
Right.
So I have the genealogy of the family, and you'd be amazed how many families are tied in to the top Vincent Buncamper come down.
Okay.
Because Vincent had, I think it was 4 children, and Richard had about 10. So, and he was married to Eleanor Flanders.
Okay.
And that's how it started.
Okay.
That's what we had, and then we found the others afterwards. My cousin Carolyn Buncamper, she does a lot of research on the family, and
That's
so
nice. That's
yeah.
good.
So we have we have a nice we have a wall with a lot of names on it. So it's really something that we look at it. That's why when I hear people talking about the madness, I don't make no noise. I know where my roots are from. How many others know that? So I don't get in it because sometimes we take things out of context. When you start talking about family and slavery and people get excited and they get nervous, I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I didn't come on a boat to Sint Maarten from no place in chains, so I'm not going to pretend I understand how that was.
Right.
I
Just
read,
like watching
yes,
videos
I
and,
read about it. I see
documentaries.
documentaries, And yes, I sympathize significantly because I think it's one of the greatest horror stories we have ever seen in this generational life that we carry. But this has happened before. 6,000 years ago in Egypt, it was the same thing. It was just a different breed of people.
Right.
You know,
so Moses and the Egyptians.
So exactly, and so I don't want to, delve into these things because it's a very ticklish
it's
situation.
very sensitive.
Yeah.
What are you bringing to basically your campaign? But what are you bringing with you as you claim that you will be elected on January 11th? What are you bringing to the table, MP?
Knowledge, a lot of knowledge. There's nobody can listen. People say that you can take away your freedom, you can take away, but you can't take away my knowledge. I educated myself, and I've worked hard. I worked in GB for years, and then I went to Container Village, and then William brought me to Public Works, and that's where I built my career in Public Works. But I also did a lot of civic work beside it. I for example, a lot of people don't know, but for years, I think about 12 years long, I was the president of the No Kidding with Our Kids Foundation. When we were struggling to bring it up, when Henry Brookson was there, Roy Marlin and all them were there, and we really struggled to make it something today. I was the one, together with Rudy Hoover and Maxime Lamini, that built the Lion Civic Center with City and Tia helping us. Up until today, I assist because I am not going to say doing the work. I assist with Scouting and Piano. The Scouts move, the Mohican Scout movement. I'm there for nearly 30 years.
Wow.
So
were you a scout yourself?
Yes, when I was smaller, on the Lejoué. Right here, Orion's, I was done by Orion's School.
I was a kabouter.
I was here, but we had to move through the line of shame.
Did you all also celebrate Baden Powell that year?
We celebrated it. We took the group in 2007. We took, I think, 15 of them to England.
Nice.
100 years Baden Powell.
Okay.
And we have done.
He was a racist, though.
Yeah. But again,
but anyway,
exactly. I go into the scouting.
So they teach you how to tie your dust and everything. The Platacono.
I think what scouting does is scouting teaches you to survive. It teaches you survival skills. It teaches you how to remember that you're one team. You're not individual. You're one team.
Right.
So when I see the now, and I want to bring it into politics. When I see government, you have to be a team. You see what's happening right now? Everybody throwing each other under the bus. When things go wrong, you hear the Prime Minister say, but that's not my purview.
But that's worrisome, though, because it confuses the people, because people are like, you see, everybody's saying it together, but this one going that way, and that one saying this, and that one saying that.
I'll give you something.
What is it so unique about the Now Party, though? I've seen other political parties that are together like a team. They move like a team. Yeah. But your party, you as a number 2 candidate, you've chosen to run with this party. There must have been some qualities in this party that made you excited, that made you say, listen, this is the thing that I want.
Let me put it so. I was with the USP. My wife was there, and when she was resigning, they had asked me to run, and I decided to take up the challenge after I spoke to my family. We didn't find each other when it came to independence. Let me put it so. So we parted ways amicably, in my opinion. Some people had different things to say, but for me, that's passé.
Yeah, that's water under the bridge.
My thing was, okay, where do I go? I was made a lot of offers by a lot of different parties to join them. Some of them were saying, no, the risk is too big. He has a court case. We don't want to do it. But I fell on Chris because he had one thing that I personally believe was way above the others. And that was his love for country. And Chris could be ignorant when he's ready. I ain't gonna lie to you. Sometimes I just beat my head in the wall and say, you can't do this, partner.
But MP Leonard, yesterday, she was here in the program and she said that you need a Christopher Emmanuel in Parliament to call out the government.
Well, you might need him in government to get done what needs to be done, because you need leadership, you need determination.
Correct.
Chris doesn't need to sit in opposition. Chris needs to run this government with a proper team of other candidates. Look, no political party is going to pull an outright majority. There are some of them drinking some kind of joy juice hoping and telling them first it was 10 seats, then it was 8 seats, now it's 6 seats. And by the time election reaches, it will be 3 or 4 seats. So again, all this nonsensical, there's going to be a coalition. We have to ensure that whomever forms that coalition, together with the now, is genuinely going to make a move towards fixing country St. Maarten, giving the population opportunities to become wealthy. I spoke of cannabis 4 years ago on this program.
I remember.
And I begged the Minister of Justice. I begged, literally begged. I'm afraid to say it. Please do the tolerance policy for me. Don't keep locking up the fellas then when they smoke a little marijuana. Leave them plant a tree in their backyard. You know, do these things. Yeah, I'm going to put a committee together. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. They didn't do nothing. They didn't do nothing. And then suddenly you read, oh, but we have a request for proposal. It is so complicated. Nobody in St. Maarten can participate. So Canadian groups are coming in. Mm-hmm. And I said to myself, but this is craziness. This is absurd. Because when we started speaking of cannabis and we stand on it as the now, that is an industry for St. Martiners. We don't need outsiders to come and teach us how to grow or how to market it or how to smoke it. We know how to do that. We have been doing that and we're going to jail for it. Mm-hmm. So please, give us an opportunity that our own people can become wealthy. What's wrong with a fella on the block becoming a millionaire? What is wrong with that? Do we have to carry a specific title to become a millionaire?
Do you know though, that's what I was looking for, because on January 1st, that was on New Year's Day, AB 2188 in Los Angeles will protect most Californians from employment discrimination on the basis of legal adult use of cannabis. The law states that employers may not refuse to hire, fire, or penalize an employee based on the results of hair urine tests for marijuana.
Now, let me tell you why.
Los Angeles.
Let me tell you why. Because California is one of the states that has now endorsed the legalization of cannabis. We have a set of idiots, because that's the only word I have for them, because I'm very passionate about it. There are a set of idiot, hypocrites, and greedy sons of bitches in between that want to wrap this thing up in a family package. It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen.
Okay.
The boys and the business people in St. Maarten that want to get involved in this, please be my guest. I don't smoke it, I don't sell it, I don't distribute it. That's not my business. But we have a right to create an opportunity, a new economic pillar for our own people.
St. Kitts is doing it.
But not only St. Kitts, Antigua doing it, Tortola giving permits, Virgin Islands, you can come in as a tourist and smoke. Only we are the idiots. Hey, I just signed the function books, but you got $1 to pay the people. And instead of you working on passing a legislation, I don't need Holland's approval. And if the Attorney General don't want to get on board, then get rid of your backside.
We're already smoking it in Holland.
Man, please. They're smoking in the prosecutor's office. Well, everybody get on. Listen, it's a social herb. We do it as if it's cocaine, for God's sakes.
In Amsterdam,
man, listen.
You give a menu and
again, I am saying we gotta stop taking this thing out of context. Yeah. Oh, people going crazy. People are crazy. Go look at Mental Health Foundation. We're building a big building now to put in a lot more. Well, they didn't get crazy off of marijuana. They're getting crazy off of the damn stress the government got them under. That's why they're going crazy. You see, this is the problem. This is the problem, Grace, we have. We are treating our own people as if they're a set of fools, as if we want to lock them up for smoking marijuana, but we don't want to give them a chance to plant it and sell it legally and pay taxes, because we need money to make this country turn. We want to make things happen. We want to do things the right way. We're going to need money.
And you know, Bounce, I'm glad you said that, because I remember back in the day, man, we didn't need nobody for nothing. You know, we had everything.
Exactly.
St. Maarten never begged nobody for nothing. And that is the pride that basically that is instilled in us, that it is still there, that we don't beg nobody for nothing.
You know,
Hurricane come, knock us down, we clean up and be gone again.
I always, you know, when I speak of the tourism thing, I always tell them,
tourism has
you know,
always been good to us.
they always say, oh, my cruise tourism, he helping us. It matching us up, the infrastructure, this and that. But say one, say two. Hurricane hit Sunday, Buncamper clean up town Monday, Tuesday the first ship back in town.
Hello.
That's what it was. Now the planes can't land because there are no hotel rooms available because everything mashed up. So timeshare, which was a great something in the off season, because the tourists would come in the timeshare and they would still buy in the supermarkets, take cars, and so there was always a little turnover. Carnival was put in April with Queensbody because we were to stretch the high season. Say what you want about Claude Watty in his days, but they knew, they had a vision of how to make Sint Maarten non-dependent of Curacao in the Netherlands.
That's why I said we never depended on anybody for anything.
And that generation, though, is dying off.
That is true.
And the young generation never knew Claude, never knew what it meant. There will never be another Claude Watty. There will never be one. There will never be another Van James. You know, these are people that we have to idolize and understand their vision. And then you put that to work. Listen, Christopher Emmanuel was brought up hating the DP. That was what they instilled in him in the NA. That's what it was. You cannot like that type of people.
Not an NA, it was
SPA.
SPA first. It was SPA.
It didn't change much.
Right, but
because I was amazed. I was
was
amazed when I saw them jump in bed with the up. I said, wait a minute, that's the Watty? That's the Watty clan. Turn it how you want. But it happened. Then they said, because they couldn't work on the USP, because, oh God, no, O'Neill Arundel, what he did with Chanel. Who formed the government right now? They the same Chanel? They the same Akeem? They the same O'Neill? That's what you call hypocrisy. That's hypocrisy. The USP wasn't good enough. That was 2020. I still sitting here, I'm in jail. Telling people how I in jail. I right here. And I'm going to be sitting right here for the next 4 years. The problem is this. You use something to manipulate. That's why Chris walked away. That's why Chris walked away from the NA. Because of that disloyalty to Franz Richardson, who always had put him in government. France wasn't elected in 2020. No, but that didn't mean to say well, France wasn't the party leader. He was still the leader. But Silly told him, I ain't talking to you. You ain't got a seat. Wow. That's how it went. Okay. That's how they treated one of their own. Because the USP was just a branch off from the NA.
From the NA, right.
Just like how the UP was a branch off from the DP. You know, we call a spade a spade. That is what it is. At the end of the day, our party, the Now, we made a manifesto. In that manifesto, it's online. People, please read it. If you see me, ask me for this little pamphlet here. It speaks about agriculture, fisheries, and animal husbandry. We want a ministry to deal with this. Not a state secretary. No, we want a ministry. A minister most probably going to have to deal with this as a ministry. Why? Because agriculture is, in my opinion, the new way forward. We have the Sabre Bank. We own 22, 25%, something like that. We own A shares and B shares, they say. But we own. And that means we're going to exploit. We're going to fish there too. And if we need to do explorations, because there is gas there. There's a lot of gas there. And you know who owns the biggest share now? Holland. Because I took the piece of Sabre, the piece from Station, the piece from Bonaire. Only Sint Maarten has a piece and Curacao has a piece of the Sabre Bank. And Holland owns the bulk. So, again, but we own. So we can do what we need to do for our people. Sint Maarten needs to do things for Sint Maarten. I don't care about Willemstad. I don't care about Aruba when it comes to political togetherness. I don't fix my house first. And when I fix my house, keeping the French side in consideration because we are joined by the naval, because you can, we drive over the border, we have family, so we got to understand each other. I don't agree with some of the things, but you know what? You got to be considerate there, you got to compromise, because we got to be able to live in harmony. You know, we said one island, one destiny, one people. I agree with that, but there are two governments, and people have to understand that. You have the French side, you have the collectivité with Mr. Mussington, and you have the Jacobs government here in Sint Maarten right now. Now, come January 11th, we will see which government we will have together with the collectivité, and we find agreements and we work with each other to help both sides of the island. Because when we legalize cannabis on this side, the French side is going to follow along, or everybody can come over here and smoke on this side and go back home.
Yeah.
So again, but there are more things. We believe that people should own their homes. People in Belvedere have been paying for 25 years rent on a house. Now, why can't they own that house? They have paid the building cost for it already. Why can't they own it? Why can't those blocks each have like a foundation? Because there are 6 homes or 8 homes, that they have a little foundation that maintains the outer walls, the outer lights. Everybody is obligated to pay because that will be part of the sales agreement. But I'm going to give you the house for Gilda, just like what we did in South Reward.
South Reward, he did.
What's the difference?
Vision. That's what we need.
Thank you. Well, this government and this little boy has no vision when it comes to housing, because he should have offered the people the house a year ago. Wouldn't surprise me after you hear me talk now that tomorrow you talk about vision and you're giving the people in Belvedere the house.
Let me get you out of here.
Because that's how things go.
Deputy leader of the Now Party, on a serious note though, he's the number 2 candidate on the party, contesting the upcoming elections. You're listening to him here, but you've heard him here this morning on the final countdown of the Breakfast Lounge as we lead up to election 2024 on January 11th. There's a debate happening tonight. Yeah.
There's a party leaders debate tonight.
Okay.
At Belvedere. Yes, I'm going to be there supporting my leader. But I think I also want to let the public know tomorrow the Now is kicking off the Zion train.
Okay.
It has left the station. We will be in Sucker Garden on the Richardson's property there by the entrance of the Keys tomorrow. From 7 we started. Come out, listen to us. We have a very strong message that we want to give to the people. A message not only of hope, but a message of reality and empowerment of our people. Then we move on Friday, we move in to the Ring Road across Blue Point. Saturday, we move over to Cold Bay, there by Tackling property. Sunday, we into Belvedere by the community center. And Monday, we're on Scott property, going up St. Peter's.
Okay.
We are going to be in these areas because Thursday, next week, January 11th, is election day. We're at the polls. Come out massively and support the Now Party. The Now Party is the next generation of governments. The generational wealth that we want to create for you. The livable wage we want to enforce for you. We want to bring in subsidy systems to help you manage your life in a decent way. You said it just now, Grace. We got pride, so we're going to suffer instead of coming out and asking for help. So we want to meet you halfway with a subsidy program so that you don't have to be begging. We're going to make it law and give everybody that opportunity. But we need, and for the boys that are listening today, weed legalization is for you all. Don't worry about no Canadians because they ain't coming here. Let me make that clear to one and all.
You bring in that.
Oh yeah.
You bring it in.
Oh yeah.
All right. There you go.
Ministry of Agriculture.
Minister, I said Minister, but he's MP Claudius Buncamper. My guest this morning, Claudius Anthony Buncamper, number 2 and deputy leader of the Now Party. I want to thank you so much. We're going to have you back here again next week.
Yeah, thank you very much, Grace. Like I said, the show is on. People are going to be saying a lot of things. Pick nonsense out of what is being said and throw that away.
Right.
And, because I hear it, in case they offer you money, take it and burn them. Burn them by the poll. Don't give them the vote. Because the curtains are down. So we're going to see what's going on.
Yeah.
Take care.
Let's see. All right, radio listeners, thank you all so much for listening. I got shot out.